Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are following us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Give us a 5-star rating. It massively helps us out. Enjoy.
You are basically now, by the very definition of what you have been up to very recently, you are a professional footballer.
Well, you know what? If you yes,
You are a professional footballer. You have achieved the impossible. You have scored a goal in a stadium packed full.
Not only a goal.
Of adoring fans.
worldly, unsavable. Some would say. I just did what Van Persie did all those years ago
At the Valley, scoring goals. It's unbelievable.
What can I say? So we will start on the Cyber match. Obviously, it was what the world was talking about. The UK was on shutdown. 2.6 million concurrent viewers. Over £1 million raised for charity. The live stream's now on 20 million views. The highlights are on like 15 million views. It's absolutely insane. It was on Sky Sports News. NBA players were watching it, according to Chunks. Alphonso Davies was on FaceTime to him before the game, wishing everyone luck. I'm not sure if we're living in a simulation, but it is happening. Thoughts on the match, thoughts on the overall event, Rory?
The whole thing is so inspiring. I think it's amazing. If you think about what the sidemen and everybody involved have achieved, they've gone from effectively pretending to be footballers, playing on computer games in their bedroom, pretending to be footballers, to actually being footballers. It's the most inspiring, upwardly mobile story. Like, it tells you can actually achieve anything because they've done the impossible. You know the way David Beckham said that he will never retire from England. He was always available. Yeah. Like, he'd be 65. If England need him, he's there. Yeah. I'm a bit like that as a professional footballer.
You're still waiting for your call up.
I believe that one day, because it's like the dream that I've had since I was 6, I will score a goal in a full stadium. Anywhere, particularly a stadium like the Valley. And I'd say that, and I don't mean this to sound at all, I think some people will hear that and kind of be slightly shocked and maybe be a bit sneery, but maybe it's generational. But I've been to the Valley a fair few times and paid money to go into the away end and watch Chelsea play. I've seen Chelsea lose there on Boxing Day. We lost 4-2, Jonathan Johansson. I've seen Chelsea win there on the opening day of the season, Carlton Cole scoring in the last minute. It's, in my definition, it's kind of a Premier League stadium. I've seen Premier League football there.
Thierry Back Hill.
That
was it, at the Valley against the Charlton, wasn't it?
The Van Persie shinny. The Van Persie
No, we're not calling it a shinny. We're not calling it a flute. We're calling it a weldy volley, one of the greatest goals of all time.
Right. I think you're spot on there saying about how it was your dream when you were younger to grow up to be a professional footballer. I think that is anyone who likes football, that's all they think about. And for Theo and everyone involved to have that experience to score, especially for you, and have the fans celebrating,
unreal.
Second to none, isn't it?
Unreal.
Do you know what? When it gave me goosebumps before the game. I don't know if you saw before the game, but Speed. He is in the last year he's blown up. I watched a little TikTok. I mean, he went from 300k subs to 2 million in the space of 2 weeks.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He's now on 11.5 million. He's now on 11.5 million subscribers in a year.
He doesn't post on YouTube either, does he?
He just does live streams. Yeah.
11 million.
He had that crowd wrapped around his little finger. He's a performer. He's a character. He's a performer. Before the game, this is something I'd never see in my life because I've seen Ronaldo play, but it was before this. Before the game, Speed, wearing his cape, started running around. Everyone was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" He started doing that and dropped one of these in front of a 30,000 packed out stadium, and the entire stadium sued.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I have never felt an energy like that. That was one of the most craziest things I've ever seen.
Imagine how he felt. Imagine how he felt with that.
Yeah,
because
he's a genuine frontman. He's genuinely got that prowess. That
he's so young as well, isn't he?
Captivating prowess.
Was he 19?
17.
17.
Yeah. Is he really?
17.
We sort of exposed that on Chunks' Instagram Live. Yeah,
it's on Google. It's on
17.
Google.
And then Speed goes, "Nah, I'm 19, man." I was like,
17 years old, and to have the front to do that to a crowd, come over from America and do that, to have that confidence. Wow.
But do you know what you said there? Do you know what's really interesting? You know when you said it's everyone's dream who likes football to grow up and score a goal, and obviously that is true. Do you know I did read something fairly recently that I found fascinating, but so obvious when you think about it, but maybe not obvious before you do. We, when I grew up, everybody wanted to be a footballer. The second thing was always a rock. So basically, when I was a kid, you wanted to be David Beckham or Liam Gallagher.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is now? Genuinely, do you know what?
YouTuber.
It's a YouTuber. Isn't that like, that's mind blowing. So most people would rather grow up to be KSI than Declan Rice.
That's just a credit to what the Sidemen have done. They've just transformed an entire generation, Theo, you included in there as well. I watched you when I was growing up. Transformed an entire generation into being that. So, and if you follow that and you can pursue that, you can still have them opportunities of football, etc. It's just amazing.
I
and
still
credit
want to
to
be
the
a
guys.
professional footballer. I still
Yeah, I still want to be a professional
and when I heard that Crawley
I still
Town
do
were there
now.
scouting,
Yeah,
I was like, because they're one of my local clubs.
Mate, that's so funny.
Genuinely.
Do you know what's so funny about that, Theo? I saw the tweet and I thought exactly the same thing. In my head, you know, when you go to bed and you sort of process the day and maybe like your hopes and dreams or whatever, right? I sort of thought, I have like a really superficial friendship. Like this isn't, it's very important. Anybody watching this, I am not friends with Bazinga. Like we have a superficial relationship, but I don't have his phone number, right?
Yeah.
I don't have his phone. He's not my mate, and I hate the reason I'm so like emphasizing this is because I hate it when people try and like
Beg it.
Yeah. So we're not mates. Like we have a very superficial friendship. But I read that Crawley were there. So as I was going to bed that night, I thought there is a world because I have this friendship with Bazinga and Rotorshire, right? They've seen me play football. They know I love playing football. They know I'm local. And they know I'm keen, right? If someone doesn't turn up, right? Yeah. Not only am I going to get I'm going to get a Twitter DM from Rotorshire in the morning, so wake up a bit early just in case, like wake up. Then I'm going to like be drafted in, so there's going to be a bit of narrative there.
You packed your boots.
Philly's injured. Rory stepped in. There's this whole story. It's going to happen. And then Crawley are there. Hang on a minute. I'm actually going to win the FA Cup. Like,
Rory, I admire it. I admire it.
Yeah, I love it.
admire it.
But you know what? The Crawley Town thing, like their owner, so he wants to make them like an online superpower, basically.
Yeah.
And mate, I saw the replies to the tweet. My word, the Crawley fans ain't happy about it.
I can imagine it's probably quite hard as a die-hard fan to see that just on Crawley and one player who I think is unbelievable. Do you think he could end up having a trial? Noah Beck, because I think he's an incredible player, and obviously he's got that experience out in the US. He's played on Soccer Aids.
I was actually talking to Noah, like we get on really well. He's like, I love him as a human, really, really genuine, down to earth guy, like really, really nice. I was talking to his dad after the game. Actually, he was just telling me like, I was like, oh, so what's his background in football and stuff? He's really high level out there in
D1,
America.
wasn't he?
He was at LAFC for a year.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, is that
So he's
LAFC?
clearly got it.
Yeah, and he chose to do TikTok and whatnot over football.
See, that's
that
amazing.
That blows my mind.
That is
blows my
amazing.
mind.
That is amazing, isn't it? Like he chose. But I'm hearing stories like this more and more often.
But I think it was the correct decision. In terms of building, in terms of who he is now and how it's worked out, and building
it's a correct
life.
decision with
Yeah.
hindsight.
Yeah.
It's not
Because it's worked out unbelievably.
What do you think you have more of an opportunity? Do you think you have a better chance of making it as a pro footballer or in the influencer space?
Influencer space.
Influencer,
No,
yeah.
completely disagree.
Do you think so?
Football is a meritocracy. Football is a meritocracy. If you are brilliant at football, you will play at the top level. You will earn a lot of money. Football, nothing will stop you if you are good enough. Whereas
Injuries.
I reckon that
There's so many good players that go under the radar, though.
Yeah, injury. Injury. But in terms of football is a meritocracy, whereas I think that there will be incredibly talented, articulate influencers who put together beautiful videos that for one reason or another doesn't quite land for them. Whereas if you are a footballer and you are the best footballer in your school and then you go to trials and you're the best footballer at the trial and then you go to a club and you're the best footballer at the club, ultimately you will be an England international. It's like totally fair football, isn't it? Injuries aside, football is a totally fair pyramid to climb.
Do
Whereas
you think so?
If you're good enough.
if you're good enough, yeah. But that is fair in itself.
I don't know, like say, especially in the UK, you have to be of a certain height. You have to have these differences as well. Like statistically as well, if you're born earlier in the year, you're more likely to become a footballer because you're just like more
Really?
grown up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was reading a book, so it's like, because you're born in January and I'm born in December, we're put in the same year group, but you've got a year of extra like growth in you. So you're going to outmuscle
but
me,
you'd have
grow
to-
higher in that year.
As a coach, I agree that these things exist, but as a coach, you'd have to be a pillock to not go, hang on a minute, he's a year older than him. Like, you'd have to be a complete pillock.
Well,
I don't
saying
think
that-
they look at that.
Like,
Did you see that
don't-
geezer on Twitter? They call him the Sunday League
Yeah, I
Haaland.
saw it.
All of his goals.
mate.
Oh
Outside
my!
of the boot.
He's on the
Bono, it's
From the corner flag.
mate. That geezer. It's right. So then you look at a player like that, and you can see unbelievable.
But then
finisher.
he's not got the. I don't think if you're that good playing at Sunday League, you have to have been you have to be injured. You'd have to have something up there that hasn't given you the drive to push it on. Because
Yeah, but I saw his Twitter and everyone was saying, oh, now he's gone down a route of Stella and different things as well. And he was replying to them and saying, no, it just hasn't worked out for him.
No, there is circumstance. I do, look, when I call it a meritocracy, in theory, nothing is a complete fair meritocracy. Everything has different caveats. But I think that being a footballer, chances are, if you are top tier, you will go to the very top.
Yeah.
And I think sport in general is as close to being as fair as
you
things
have to have
can
the
be.
hard work aspect of it.
You have to graft.
And-
you
no
have
denying
sacrifice as well.